This is Texans TV.
A Texan is coaching the Texans. Lovie Smith's in charge, and we're looking in depth at what he brings.
I realized the best decision was with the choice of Lovie Smith as the next head coach.
Texans 360 is now.
We are ready to rock in Houston. Rock and roll.
Hey, greatness today, man.
Touchdown, Texans.
I got cleats for all y'all.
He's in. Rock and roll.
That's when you think you've seen it all. There's always something else.
Where would you rather be right now, man?
Well, hello and welcome into Texans 360. My name is Drew Dougherty with my good friend Deepi Sidhu. Good to be with you.
Good to be with you too, Drew.
Lots happened, huh?
Just a few things. It's been a little bit of a busy week for us, hasn't it?
It sure has. It's been fun. This is going to be a fun show because later on we're going to introduce you to a fan who has been very, very special to the Houston Texans. We're also going to get some in-depth knowledge and facts about the Senior Bowl that just went down in Mobile, Alabama from our guy, John Harris. And we've got a grant to give out. But this show is going to be dominated by the coaching change with the hire of Lovie Smith. No longer the defensive coordinator, DP. He is in charge of his third NFL team. This was a process that went down over the last month, and it came to an end when the Texans hired Lovie Smith.
I mean, they had their head coach in the building all along, and none of us really knew until things started really unfolding there at the end. But you know what? I think that overall, after seeing Lovie Smith at his press conference, we saw it last year, Drew. I mean, we saw him every single week as defensive coordinator. He would address the media. He'd answer questions. I mean, he just has this air of a former head coach. I mean, he's just so polished. He's had so much experience, over two decades of experience, 11 as an NFL head coach. And to see him get this gig his third time around and what he was able to do last year with this defense and have that springboard him into this new role, couldn't be more excited for him, couldn't be more thrilled for him. And he's got such great relationships in the building with the McNair family, with Nick Caserio. No one really knew what to expect of Lovie Smith when he showed up here last year. And everyone has enjoyed working with him over the past season. Obviously, the wins are not where you want them to be. That's something that they hope they can build on. He knows what he has in this team. He knows what he has in this building. So hopefully they can build on what they saw last year, the good things, and really have a great year, too, heading into 2020.
Yeah, and he's talked about, I have a plan, and he shared a little bit of the plan with us, but he has got to fill out the coaching staff. There's a few more assistants to hire, and then he's going to get to work on things. But when his plan is put in action, things happen. Because the plan last year when he got here as DC, get more takeaways. Texans only had 9 in 2020, and that number jumped up to 25 in 21, and that was a top 10 mark in the league. All right, for more on the first day of Lovie Smith's job, check this out.
This day is really about the Smith family. Coach Smith is one of the most respected figures in the league. He's well respected in the halls of NRG. I think a lot of us were able to see that this year. As we worked through this and got to the end point, I realized the best decision, the best opportunity for this organization to move forward was with the choice of Lovie Smith as the next head coach.
Ready! Let's go, coach. Get it. Get out. Yes, sir.
Seemed like so much has happened since then. Eventually I got a call from Nick that said, hey, Lovie, I want you to be our head football coach. You can imagine getting that call and the excitement, of course, that we had. This one was definitely rewarding because it was an organization that a lot of times you come in, you just knew, you don't know an awful lot. I had a chance to really see from my position last year to see exactly what we had here, the potential of the place. When you become a head football coach for the first time, you don't realize that. You kind of prepare and you have a plan for everything, but experience teaches you so much. You know, Matthew, my son, and I were talking about, 2004 when we did it for the first time. No idea what was going to go on, what you should do, had a plan. But this time, I learned something from every experience that I've gone through.
One half of football. Offense, that first drive is important. Drive it down there and score. Defense, we win if you don't let them score. Man, you got to reach down right now. What more do you want than to be in this position right here?
After the opening day like today, a plan for what we're going to do coming in. I have a plan for what we're going to do what's the most important thing in becoming a head football coach? To me, we're not going to play a game tomorrow, so eventually it's going to be the players. All right, eventually it's going to be free agency, the draft. But first thing, staff. Just attacking it.
Every play we know what we have to do. Alignment, assignment, key, technique. And then from there, guys, we give everything we have on every single play.
This is what I'm looking for in coaches, stern teachers. Just that, teachers. We're going to do it a certain way. For someone to be on my staff, he's been vetted on his beliefs, on how he treats people. Versus, we're a people business. And for me, on a lot of our members of our staff, I got a chance to be around them when I was in a different role than just observing. So you could say that a lot of us had a year interview. So I know an awful lot about so many people here.
Herbert with time, floats the ball. It's intercepted. Thomas, left side, 40, 30, to the house. Pick six. And now he's going to go down. He's sacked by John Grenard, his 7th of the year. Throws over the middle, tipped, and this is intercepted. Texans have it. Houston gets its 4th takeaway of the day. The Texans take it back.
Well, I like the foundation that we set. I first got here, defensive guys were talking about turnovers. We got to get turnovers now. They at least have the language right on. We have to take the ball away. It's about takeaways and the importance of that, how we play, playing hard, being disciplined, all of those things. Just knowledge. We talk about teaching. It's just not, hey, defensively run to the ball. It's about being disciplined, gap control. Guys bought into that this past year. And it's one thing. Normally in the course of a year, improvement, you normally see a big improvement from game 1 to game 2. I'm looking for that improvement from year 1 to year 2 with it.
That was a fun first day for Lovie Smith as head coach of the Texans. One of the many things that you do really well is you've got your pulse on the social media of our players. And a lot of our players were very, very excited about the hire of Lovie Smith when they heard that was happening. A lot of his former players were too. Hall of Famer Brian Urlacher, Devin Hester, who belongs in the Hall of Fame and is going to be there someday, the return man. They were very pumped for Lovie Smith as well. But this defense, largely going to be the same sort of scheme. He's still going to call plays. He talked about that. It's going to be fun to see what they can improve upon and what they can do in year 2 with Lovie in charge of the D.
I thought it was so exciting to see some of the year 2 guys last year really make a jump.
Yeah.
We saw Jonathan Grenard, we saw Ross Blacklock. You see some guys that are really, Roy Lopez, rookies that really made an impact early on. So, I'm excited about that because now those guys have been in the system for a year. Mm-hmm. They're going to get another year. They're going to get an entire offseason with Lovie Smith. They know what's expected of them. And last year, so many free agents signed here with the Texans. And I remember every single defensive player that we talked to, we asked them, why did you decide to sign with the Texans? Lovie Smith. Desmond King, Lovie Smith. I think that the expectation is that you know what Lovie Smith's going to bring to this defense. He's going to get these pieces. He's going to get some new ones in the draft. The defense kept this team in games largely through the third quarter. The offense just couldn't get things going. So if they can get the things moving on offense that they want and really start scoring points, I thought this defense could have really won them some games last year.
Yeah, and we're going to get into more of the offense later in the show, but let's stick with that defense. Every single year, no matter the NFL team, there's going to be a changeover. There's going to be about 2 dozen new faces that exit the building, that come into the building each season. There's going to be more this year with the Texans just because so many guys last year were on one-year deals. Lovie Smith talked about that, and he's really excited about getting ready for the draft. He said he's done a lot of draft prep and has been doing draft prep for the last month, but turnover going to be a key. And I'm not talking about takeaways. I'm talking about turnover personnel-wise.
Yeah, he talked about it. He said as a coach, he likes to coach as if every season's his last. And a lot of those guys really put their all out on the field. But, I think that the good thing is that you know what you have in those players and you know which guys you may want to keep. Maybe they're all not going to depart in free agency. Yeah. Maybe bring some of those key guys back that you think could really be leaders on your defense and offense.
And maybe you bring in some guys who were playing at the Senior Bowl. And he was talking with the two of us on Tuesday about some of the practices he was watching via tape. He's like, I love the technology. I can be in Mobile without being in Mobile. We're going to go to Mobile with our guy John Harris after the break. Stick with us. Texans 360 rolls on.
Congratulations. Y'all been awarded the Grassroots Grant.
Oh my God, that's awesome!
We love the fact that the Texans, we're doing something with the Texans, because that's what we want our kids to aspire to be administrators, or to work the front office, to be a part of the background of the game, as opposed to just being the player on the field.
All right, a legacy school getting some funds to do some great things for their program there. Deepi Sidhu, Drew Dougherty here on Texans 360. You know, the Senior Bowl was last week, and yeah, the game was played, and that's important, but really the more important part is the week that, leads up to it. The practices, seeing these players up close, and the interviews, getting to see and talk with them, outside of practice and find out who they are as players. Lovie Smith, like we mentioned, he's already been doing some evaluation there, and it seems like every single year, the Texans and every team takes at least one or two players that played in the Senior Bowl in the draft. It's an important part of this whole process.
Yeah, you see a lot of guys that are maybe like day 2, day 3 picks really try to elevate their draft stock with their practices and their performances at the Senior Bowl. It's one last chance to sort of put an audition out for yourself, audition tape. And I think that a lot of these coaches like to see these players against other players that are at about the same level.
Yeah.
So it's different competition, and you need to see how guys adapt to different systems, adapt to a different game plan, not just the game plan that they played in for 4 years. So I think it's super beneficial. A lot of guys, we've seen their draft stock rise through the Senior Bowl, and we've seen a lot of those guys roll through this building here.
Oh, absolutely. And you bring up a great point. I mean, this is an all-star game, but you're taking all-stars from Alabama and Auburn and Georgia,
right,
the big marquee programs, but you're also plucking guys from Wisconsin Whitewater, and they get to compete against that top-level competition and strut their stuff, show what they can do. And another guy who can do those things and show what he can do is John Harris, who checked in from Mobile.
All right, it starts again. Senior Bowl 2022, Hancock Whitney Stadium. Second year in a row we've been here. In the first practice of Tuesday, I watched a lot of the offensive line, I'm telling you. It was the defensive line that really stood out. How about Travis Jones from UConn? This dude is a mouse. And they had all kinds of issues with him on the offensive line. But the offensive lineman that stood out was Zion Johnson from out of Boston College. Dude had an absolutely stellar practice. Did a lot at center, which I could see him playing in the league. A little bit shorter than everybody else here, but man, built like a brick house and had a great day. Zion Johnson out of Boston College and Travis Jones out of UConn. It's off to second practice. Let's go. Day 2, you can see I got the rain gear on. It's supposed to rain. It's the last day we're going to be able to see because Thursday they're going to move inside. Then again, after Jacksonville, Nashville, and Buffalo in 2021, I ain't scared of a little rain. Let's go. Senior Bowl Day 2. Come on. Practice 1 is over on Wednesday. Rain is coming down. You can probably see it. I am soaked, but man, who cares? It's football. It's the Senior Bowl. All right, y'all. Senior Bowl is over. It's in the books. Back home, NRG Stadium, getting ready to kick off 2022's offseason. The Combine's next, then the draft. Cannot wait.
Coming up, Lovie Smith is not the only change in the coaching staff. There's a new offense in town with Pep Hamilton. Don't go anywhere. This is Texans 360.
We have a monumental day for this franchise. The introduction of the 5th coach in the history of the Houston Texans, Lovie Smith.
To sit in this role, it's about winning football. Tough, hard-nosed football, disciplined ball. That's what you will see from us. So it's a great day. We're excited. We all are. As we go forward, look forward to working to get the Texans back where they need to be.
It's good for the current players to feel that from y'all. Yeah, hey, this is standard. This is how we expect it to look. It's supposed to look like this, man. You represent us. Oh, it's been a special day. It's gone about how I thought it would. A lot of the people are excited about the Houston Texans, and I know I'm excited about leading.
A Day in the life, Lovie Smith. That was a nice video done by Jared Huff. We call him Huffy here in the building. Call me Drew, you Deepi, and this is Texans 360. Coming at you from the digital studios here at NRG Stadium. Okay, Pep Hamilton in charge of the offense. He's going to call the plays. Quarterbacks coach last year did some really nice things with a rookie in Davis Mills. He said job number one over the next month or two is getting with Davis, getting him to recognize what defenses are going to do to try and combat what he wants to do. Very, very important stuff. And Davis has talked about at the end of the season, hey, I'm going to throw with my guys in the offseason, some of the receivers, tight ends, and running backs too. Big offseason going from year one to year two with Davis and Pep Hamilton in charge.
Yeah, he already had his hands on Davis Mills last year, Pep Hamilton that is, so he gets to really also get to build on what they created last year. And I think that it was really telling in the press conference when Lovie Smith said, we got to have Pep back, because he really liked what he saw in the rookie quarterback last year. And especially in that final 5 games of the season, the final 5 starts, he threw 9 touchdowns, just 2 picks. We really started to see him improve his efficiency in the red zone, the deep ball, his completion percentages, they all went up. And I have to think that a lot of that is due to the work that Pep was doing with him in the quarterback's room. But we've had the same offense. We've had the same offense since 2014. And now with a new offensive coordinator in town, I'm curious to see how things change as far as the play calling on the field, how you can really adapt to the skill sets of the players that you have out there.
And I think one of the big changes is going to be in how the Texans run the ball, how they try to run the ball. Now, there's going to be a new offensive line.
Still a point of emphasis, obviously.
Oh, it's a huge point of emphasis because it has not worked. It's not been good the last 4 or 5 years, and I think we're all spoiled by what we saw around here with Arian Foster back in the Gary Kubiak days, and that's a different beast. But Pep Hamilton wants to do things differently. So does Lovie Smith. You got to be more effective when you run the ball. The Texans were getting just barely over 3 yards a carry last year. Not acceptable.
Yeah, and you had a lot of different guys trying their hand at running the ball. I mean, Rex Burkhead was playing his heart out at the end of the season there. He was hurt, but even it was just tough sledding for the backs, for the O-line. So you hope that maybe with a different set of eyes on the offense and a different scheme, or maybe different personnel,
plan of attack, I think, is
a different plan of attack,
which is what they're going to do.
You want to be more effective at running the ball. It's obviously still very much a point of emphasis. You cannot just rely on passing. You cannot rely on Davis Mills throwing the ball 50 times in a game. You have to be able to balance that attack. Now, how much do they balance it? Maybe it's a little bit less, maybe it's a little bit more, maybe it changes week to week. Lovie Smith didn't get into a whole lot of details in his introductory press conference, so I think the details of that are still yet to be ironed out, and I think it all depends on what other players you see on offense sign here this offseason or get drafted.
For sure, and another component of things that's very, very important is the special teams. We're going to have more on that in the weeks to come. Frank Ross, the special teams coordinator, is coming back for year 2. He's enthused. Lovie Smith is enthused about him coming back as well. Good things expected there. Improvement year 1 over year 2 because this was a good special teams unit. So you get better on that. Boy, you're cooking with gas. Okay, we've got to get into something with the fans after the break. We're going to honor a longtime Houston Texans fan next on Texans 360. Texans 360 rolls on with Deepi Sidhu. I'm Drew, and offense, defense, special teams must get better in 2022 and beyond, according to Lovie Smith. And he also wants the fans involved a little bit more. When
the fourth phase.
That's right.
Who knew? There's a 4th phase, but he wants to see the crowds rock in the way they have been back in the day. And we do have some of the best fans in the world. I mean, they're so passionate, they're so excited, and he wants to give them something to cheer about.
Yeah, you talk about the best fans. Sadly, we lost one of our favorites recently to COVID. Here's more on a very special Houston Texans fan.
Kent was a coach in the Houston area at Southwest Christian. He coached boys basketball. He was 79 years old and he passed away from COVID this summer. He started coming to the Texans games with a fellow coach, and he had such a good time that he came for every game for 10 or 12 years, 15 years.
The first game that I brought him to, he had won it in a school auction, and usually it would be a kid and I would paint him up and we'd get on TV and it was always fun. And yet this guy's 70 years old, what are we gonna do? So I asked him, do you want to paint up? And oh yeah, I want to paint up. And so we painted up and it was a blast. The rest was history. I started bringing him to every game. It was so much fun.
Nobody had more fun at any game ever than Kent Cramiat.
Good to see you again. Very nice. Good to see you. Oh. I'm super excited to see you.
How are you?
Good. Hi, Mr. McNair. Hi. Welcome to where we sit on game day.
It's good to see you. Greg Grissom. Very nice to meet you.
We came up to pick up a jersey and got to meet with Mr. McNair, Cal McNair, and his lovely wife Hannah and Mr. Grissom to receive a picture of Kent and Dave sitting on the front row, schmoozing to a camera at one of the games, and to pick up a memorial jersey for them for an upcoming game. It's just nice when you find out how interrelated you are with all of these people throughout our lives.
Well, we are so sorry that he won't be down there. He'll definitely be missed, but that's what it's all about for us, is for you guys to come year after year and enjoy the game and build great relationships with each other, but also with us and the teams. And so we really appreciate and look forward to be down on the field with you soon.
There would be no one that would be more tickled than my husband. He was through and through a Texans fan, whether he agreed with what was happening or disagreed with what was happening, and players don't always have their best day at any given time, but it didn't matter. He was still a Texans fan, and I couldn't be more tickled and more delighted to have them say, "We would like to do something to honor the passing of your husband."
As a fan, he really propelled my fandom. I mean, everybody loved him. He was such a special man. He touched so many. I mean, I'm just gonna miss him. It's not gonna be the same sitting with anybody else than him. He would really feel honored for everything that the McNairs and the Texans organization did for just a simple fan.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this week's show. Deepi, it's always good to be with you. It's been a fun week.
It has been a busy week. It's been a fun week, and the fun's going to continue because we've got lots to look forward to. We still got the NFL scouting combine. We've got the draft. We've got lots of things going on.
We're going to be in Indianapolis in the next few weeks. Yeah, so look for that. Look for much more on Texans 360. For Jared Huff, Tyler Suddarth, and Tyler Marcotte putting this whole thing together, I'm Drew. We appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to know when we post new content.